Ladies and gentlemen, seekers of truth and knowledge, welcome to an experience that will take you on a captivating journey beyond our world. Today we have a special treat for you as we sit down with the renowned Andromedan Contactee Alex Collier. Prepare yourself for a rapid-fire question and answer session that delves into the depths of cosmic wisdom and unveils the mysteries of the universe. As always, please remember to like this video and share it with your friends and family. That way, it gets seen by more truth seekers. Also, remember Alex hosts a live webinar 3 times a month on a Friday at 2 p.m. Eastern Time, so be sure to visit the link in the description for more information. But for now, here are today's rapid-fire questions and answers.
I was just listening to your presentation during the Mount Shasta Summer Conference. You mentioned we have 8 years left before the big shift. What did you mean by that, since time does not exist? And is it possible that everybody experiences this in a different way depending on their awareness?
Okay, well, the reason I say that is because the Looking Glass 1 and Looking Glass 2 technology, to the best of my knowledge that I can find out, they cannot see anything beyond, I believe it's October of 2030. I do not know the specific date in October, but the machine just goes static after that. Now, what does that mean? Do we jump? Is that when we jump? Does it end? Does the third dimensional holograph, the matrix that we're in, does it end on that date? See, we don't know. We don't know beyond that point the specific timeline that we're on. So I don't know exactly how to interpret that, but that was the point I was trying to make in Shasta, is that we don't know beyond that point. So we have work to do because we don't know. You know, we have to pull ourselves up by our bootstraps, and we have to get it in gear and really start thinking about what it is we want. Now, do I think it all ends? No, I do not. But clearly something changes at that moment, at that time. Something changes. Now, are we going to be victims to the change, or are we going to be the ones that create the change? Pick one. Okay. I would prefer to be the ones that change as opposed to being a victim. Sick and tired of that shit. Aren't you? Aren't you sick and tired of being a victim? I'm just asking. So that's why I brought that up at Shasta.
Following our anticipated planetary transition, what role do you think the A's will play with the new Earth? And
well, I know presently they are mentoring the other groups of non-terrestrials that are here assisting us. They are helping to coordinate actions and moves and responses. And I know the A's themselves are being mentored by another group in 6th and 7th density. So when I told you that everybody is checking each other's work, that's exactly what's happening. Okay? Through multiple dimensions, everything is being managed for a very specific outcome. And that outcome benefits everybody. the entire galaxy, especially us. I know that M would love to spend some time on the surface. I know that. We've had those conversations. And if it's him, it would be others as well. Because, Earth is glorious. There are very few planets with this type of diversity in life and ecosystem. And it's one thing to take a picture and put it into the holograph, but it's another to actually experience it yourself. Uh, I know that M would love to meet our dolphins. That has been expressed several times over all the years that we've known each other, is that he would really enjoy meeting our dolphins. And I would love to make that happen. I would, you know. So we'll see. We'll see how this works.
Could you please clarify the difference between consciousness and soul? Thank you.
Okay. My perspective is, and from what I've been taught, they are actually one and the same. Consciousness is who you are as a being of light, a aspect of source. Now, what does that actual consciousness look like? Well, it's self-contained. It's an energy grid, a field, a multidimensional field of energy that can pass through dimensions and the membranes that separate dimensions at will. The more you fall in dimensions into physical planes, which vibrate slower, the more solidified the soul becomes. But it is still energy. It is still a conscious collective of all that you are since you've left source. Now, you're never disconnected from source, ever. But you are creating your own journey. And everything that you experience, the highs and the lows, all of that goes back to source. And source acknowledges the experiences. And what it does is it grows and expands from the knowledge we ourselves experience and share with source. It's almost as if you move out and you have all these experiences during your life. And when you go home and you sit down and you hug your mother, you tell her everything. And you share all of your experiences, your highs and lows, the emotions, the heartbreaks. You share all of it with your mother. That is exactly what we're doing with Source. We are sharing all of that with Mother. Because in the A's perspective and that of other groups, if we had to apply a gender to source, it would be feminine. It would be the feminine principle as a gender. So you can look at it that way. Except mother doesn't judge. Mother doesn't judge. The love is truly unconditional. So there's no need for fear, ever. Okay? Ever. That was all bullshit we were taught. You know, I'm a jealous God. It was all bullshit. Those were ETs who pretended to be God because they got off on it.
Does genetic memory play a role in soul reincarnation? In other words, can you facially look the same every time you reincarnate? I've seen this in some celebrities looking like historical figures in the face. Yeah, there's something.
Yeah,
about,
I've seen that too, but do we actually know that they're the same souls? We don't know that. We don't know that. I don't have an answer for that question. I know that the experience that I had on board the ships where I've seen my past lives, I was a lot handsomer in previous lifetimes. But I didn't look alike. You know, I didn't keep having the same look. Not at all. The energy was very similar, though. The continents, but not the physical form. They were different. You know, I mean, if I looked like I did now in a female body, who would marry me? You know what I'm saying? So no, I don't know that. Anyway, I'm only going to dig that hole deeper. So I'm just going to let that go.
When we fully embrace our true nature, our frequency changes and we are perceived as different, as if we wear a new perfume. It freaks out people because they don't recognize us anymore. Some even throw stones at what they don't understand. But if they knew that we haven't changed, we instead got closer to who we are, they need to understand that they must not be afraid of these changes that are occurring more and more in people, because this is where we are all going. Thank you. Presumably, she's inviting you to comment on that.
Oh, is that the presumption? I missed that. Well, Miss Danan, you would be correct. And it would be very easy for those to perceive the change as night and day. Because as you continue to grow in frequency and raise your frequency, what you become is a truly sovereign spiritual being, which of course, that's who we all are. And someone who is not in that space or that frequency, who has been disempowered, used to living in fear, and is in fear and paranoid to a degree, when they're confronted with somebody like this, their first response would be to repel themselves from someone so powerful that they don't understand. And they would move immediately into that space of fear and or paranoia because they don't understand. which has been one of the biggest issues in dealing with us Terrans from the get-go. We have become globally a very paranoid culture. You know, we've learned about Christ and spiritual teachers and beings, but they always end up being, their demise is always tragic. So even though we're told to admire people like that, we're also taught that their demise is tragic. So what does that do? It creates more fear and paranoia that if I become more Christ-like, I'm going to have a horrible ending or a demise, which creates not only a great deal of conflict in everyone, but it also creates fear. Fear related to being totally self-empowered. And there are some brave souls that will move through that and actually become that personification, Christed personification. And when they do, they realize, wow, there's no one else here. It's lonely. There's no one else here. Because everyone is so conditioned to being the victim. So this is what's happening here on the surface is not a walk in the park by any stretch. It's not. I guess the question that begs to be asked is, how brave are you? How brave are we? Are we really as brave as we think we can be? That we can step into this role of self-empowerment and become it?
Alex, thanks for taking our questions. Do you know if the move by the auto companies, manufacturers, to go green and go electric is because they're aligned with the green woke dystopian plan, or because they're getting on board with Tesla's free electrical energy coming in with the new power poles going up? Very interesting.
It is. And actually, I have addressed this earlier in another webinar where there are several companies that are making antennas for electric cars for that very same purpose. The issue with electric cars is, of course, going to be the batteries. The lithium batteries are not only expensive and a limited resource, but what it does to the earth in order to get these things, get the lithium out of the ground, is ridiculous. So there has to be a significant technological advancement in batteries. Now, I've heard about a very specific technology that's being worked on between Toyota and Subaru. They're working together on a specific vehicle that supposedly will take this to the next level. Now, for those of you who don't know, that Toyota, Lexus, and Subaru are all owned by the same families. Yeah, they're all owned by the same families, and their plants in Japan are just, all within 10 miles of each other for that reason, even though they're separate companies. They're working on some really interesting things together. And so are the Koreans. The Koreans have really come a long way in their automotive and chip making manufacturing. They've come a long, long way. And they equally rival what the Japanese were able to do in the 70s, 80s, and 90s, and 2000s. So, the Germans, of course, build great cars as well. However, they're very high maintenance and they're expensive to fix. I had 2 older Land Rovers, and I wouldn't suggest anybody go there because those cars are not only ridiculously expensive, but they have tantrums and they're incredibly expensive to maintain. You know, they were old P38s, but they were a nightmare to fix because it was always something. Anyway, yeah, I think so. But I'm looking for the flying cars now. That's what I want to see. The next 4 or 5 years, we're going to have flying cars, and that's what I'm looking at. I would like a flying car. That's what I want to do. So, and there's no reason why flying cars can't be electric either.
Have we been repeating certain historical storylines over and over again with different actors, like the story of Jesus and Horus having many similarities? If so, please explain this.
Well, if you look at history, if you truly objectively look at history, there have been at least 16 saviors that have been crucified in history. 16. And yes, the stories do tend to repeat themselves with new faces and different generations. And it's because it was a program. It was a program to keep us in a loop, a belief system, a loop where we would not progress and step out of those particular paradigms, to keep us in a victimhood position. Because if you're a victim, then you're in fear. And if you're in fear, then you're easily angered, which means you're easy to manipulate. And a lot of folks have been stuck in that loop, lifetime after lifetime after lifetime, in specific bloodlines, no less. And these stories were predominantly created to take power outside of ourselves individually and to direct it towards some higher authority that we perceived as a higher authority, to tell us what to do, what to think, how to feel, how to pray, how to observe God, Spirit, all that is. To keep us in that loop. And what we're going to find out about our history, as we are finding out now, is that one, most of it has been hidden from us. And two, a great deal of it isn't even true at all. and it never has been. These were stories that were created thousands of years ago that would keep us in this loop of disempowerment and fear. Because as long as they can keep you in fear, they can control and manipulate you. When you have no fear, they can't control you. They cannot manipulate you. And they actually become afraid of you. Because the truth of the matter is, they have more fear than we do, which is why they project all that shit onto us. And it's worked for thousands and thousands of years.
Hi, Alex. Do you think you would have remembered your past lives on your own had it not been for the A's providing that information? Also, many, if not most of us, definitely no one I personally know, have any memories of our past lives. And I have read this because we have not developed a high enough level of consciousness. Do you agree this is the major reason?
I think for some that's absolutely true. I do. Do I know what my journey would have been had the A's or Morinae and Visayas not approached me or altered my life? That's a really good question. I have pondered it in the past. But I was always drawn, even as a kid, to Native American spirituality. Even though there was times when I was an altar boy, I was always drawn to Native American spirituality. There was just something about it that I totally resonated to. So I think that curiosity would have continued. That intrigue that I had for that, and learning how nature works and great spirit. And I think even if I had moved towards the church, I would have eventually left it. I and I've told the story about telling my dad where I wanted to, actually join the priesthood. I seriously considered it. And he was like, no, 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 no. And that's when he gave me the book, The Vatican Empire. It's a little paperback. And he goes, you need to read this. I was like 12 years old. And I did. And I'm like, oh, shit. It's a business. That's all it really is. It's a business. And that was the point he was trying to make to me, So I think I would have found my way. Would I have found my way here to doing webinars and the such? Probably not. I probably would have had a little home somewhere, hopefully still married, 2.3 children. It's really hard to know. It's really difficult to know. I've lived 3 lifetimes in this life. Each one stands alone. So I have no idea, actually. But looking back to where I am now, I wouldn't change a thing. I might do some things over. I've made a boatload of mistakes. But it is what it is. I am who I am today because of the journey and because of the mistakes. And, that's where wisdom comes from. Wisdom comes from the mistakes.
There you have it, fellow truth seekers. An enlightening and exhilarating rapid-fire question and answer session with the remarkable Alex Collier. sharing his profound encounters with the benevolent Andromedan extraterrestrial beings. As we continue our cosmic journey, let us embrace the wisdom of the Andromedans and carry their message of love, unity, and compassion with us. Together, we can create a world where humanity stands united, ready to embrace the wonders that await us in the vast expanse of the universe. If you found this rapid-fire question and answer session fascinating, hit that like button and share this video with your friends and family. Subscribe to our channel and ring the notification bell so you never miss out on more captivating content like this. Thank you for joining us on this incredible adventure. Until next time, may the stars guide you on your path of enlightenment and exploration. And remember to always seek knowledge and stay curious. If you want to get the latest information from Alex Collier, we host a live webinar 3 times a month on a Friday at 2 p.m. Eastern Time. For more information and dates of upcoming live webinars, please visit alexcollier.org. Please click on one of the above videos to seek more of Alex Collier's knowledge.